A couple of weeks ago, I posted a video which was all about what to do when filming a video goes wrong. And I had basically sat down in order to record a chatting to camera piece whilst I painted a frame, and I was going to talk about marketing our business. And I just had no plan. And what ended up happening was the video was a bit of a disaster, and I still posted a video, but the video I posted was a lot more around how I found that I need structure in order to create decent videos. What I didn't do was talk about the original topic that I had intended to discuss. So that's what I want to do now, is I want to talk to you about marketing the fabled threat. I want to talk to you about our marketing strategy and about the pitfalls we've run into and the love-hate relationship I, like many creators, have with channels like Instagram. So I want to go into detail on it all. I want to tell you my metrics, because I do think that not enough people are open about their kind of stats on different social media channels and the actual impact those have. And I wish someone had said some of this stuff to me 2 years ago when I was really in the sort of pits of, God, I don't know what to do about social media. So I want to tell you full, open, honest account of everything. But because I like to multitask, I also have this embroidery to finish, which I need to get finished for a video I'm shooting tomorrow. So I thought I will double up. I will talk to you about marketing and I will finish this embroidery. So to begin this video, I want to take you back to actually how I first grew the business. And I have a video that kind of explains how I got into this business, but not how actually we got anyone to ever buy from us. And basically, I launched the business in March 2020. Our first kits actually went on sale. We started selling from June 2020, but I launched an Instagram in March, and I had no appreciation at all for what was involved in trying to get anyone to take any awareness of your business. I actually had only had Instagram at that point myself on a personal level for about 6 months. So I wasn't one of these people that had been using it my whole life. I wish I had been, because I bet I would have had a much higher sort of number of friends to rely on when I did go live. But basically I started it in March 2020, and then it was just as COVID hit. Lots of people were spending a lot more time on their phone, and I was super lucky when I had about 800 Instagram followers. I just happened to get picked up by a journalist for the Financial Times How to Spend It magazine. And if you don't know, that's quite a wide readership, big magazine in the UK. This journalist included me in an article in about June, and because I think a lot of journalists read a lot of other journalists' articles, that ended up translating into features in Vogue, and then House and Garden, then Homes and Garden. And so over the course of the first 6 months, we started to get a bit of traction. In parallel, right at the beginning of starting the business, I would post lots of pictures of the embroidery, but I also would post pictures from my flat. And I had quite a kind of strong aesthetic in my flat. If you don't know what our aesthetic's like, then head over to my Instagram account and you'll see lots of kind of interior shots in and amongst everything else. Genuinely, those interiors photos are what built us a bit of traffic. And what that meant was, by the end of my first year in business, I'd actually already grown the account to about 10,000 followers. And by the end of my second year, we were up about 30,000 followers. Instagram was going really well. People were really engaging in my posts. I'd say about, I kind of went back over the stats, and about 60% of my posts were seen by my followers. So people were not only signing up to follow, but they were also seeing a load of posts and engaging in a load of posts. And in turn, that was then driving lots of traffic to the website. So in those first few years, over 30% of our daily website visitors came to us from Instagram. And it was great. It was easy. I sort of would post a picture, everyone would see it, get loads of likes, loads of people share it, and then it would cause people to buy the products, and it was all great until about summer 2021. And it was all great. But the issue was, because it was all going so well, I had absolutely no plan B in place if anything dropped off. I didn't send emails, I didn't have any other social media channels, I hadn't diversified anything we were doing. So inevitably, as I am clearly alluding to, it didn't last. And in the summer of 2022, so about kind of 2 years after I'd started the business, suddenly everything just dropped off massively. I don't know what happened and whether something did happen major, but my engagement sort of fell from about 60% of, say, posts being seen by people to about 15%, almost overnight. But then in turn, that meant things happened like you didn't gain new followers as quickly. What had been so easy to kind of build a following in 2021 became suddenly an awful lot harder in 2022. I got so demoralized in that period of time, and actually also just so obsessed. I would spend so much time listening to podcasts, kind of following Instagram gurus on Instagram, trying to make fancy reels, making fancy reels that I didn't enjoy making, and then it getting absolutely no traction whatsoever. And then moaning about it, talking about it to my husband, talking about it to my family, saying, and obsessing over other channels that looked like they were doing well, obsessing over how I could replicate what they were doing, and all the while getting more and more down about it. I genuinely sort of spent about 9 months feeling incredibly low, thinking, what have I done wrong to have this happen to me? And I know many other creators, other people with businesses who have had or are having this exact feeling, this feeling of kind of desolation, where you think you're doing everything you possibly can, but it all feels so entirely out of your control. It feels like there is no way you can influence the system, and you feel absolutely helpless about your business in the process. However, in that same period of time, if I had taken a far less emotional, personal view of it and actually gone to look at my website stats, I would have seen a very different story. So whilst my Instagram engagement, my Instagram performance had dropped off, actually my website traffic had continued to grow. Day in, day out, hundreds of people were coming to the website. And just to caveat this entire piece, I've never done paid advertising. We have never as a business done any paid advertising. So every single visitor to the website is finding us through some organic means, something that we're doing to create content, someone that's referring us, something that's appearing, but not because they've seen an advert. So despite my feeling of desolation, actually, on an underlying basis, I had a lot to be quite positive about. The business was still growing. Sales were growing, visitors were growing. And whilst Instagram wasn't growing, that wasn't a sign that people weren't interested. So I reached this turning point really last summer. So in the summer of 2023, I went through all these numbers and had this realization. So in the middle of 2023, after a good 9, almost 12 months of wallowing, I decided that I needed to do something about this. I couldn't change Instagram. I had to accept the reality that our engagement had dropped and every single effort I did was not impacting that at all. The number of people seeing my posts had dropped, and that was my new normal. On average, about 10 to 20%, 20% on a good post, 10% on an average post of my followers see my Instagram posts, and on average, we get between 1 to 1.5% engagement, which, as I understand it, is actually the absolute industry norm. On average, most people get 1.5% engagement on their posts. So there's not something wrong with us. Arguably, there's something wrong with the platform, but that's the reality you have to accept. And so I started making changes to the business. I realised that firstly, I had to diversify my marketing channels. And secondly, I had to focus on things I enjoyed, because I didn't start this business in order to sit there and sort of feel low and to wallow about things like how Instagram was performing. That isn't what I wanted to spend my days doing. It's not a positive thing. Actually, my joy comes from making things and from engaging with people about making things. And so that's what I wanted to spend my time on. So we had a big switch. And one of the things that made me notice and accept this most of all was actually Pinterest. So throughout probably about 2 years ago, I downloaded a Pinterest account for the business. I started a Pinterest account. I don't really use Pinterest particularly, as I've spoken about on our How to Find Inspiration videos, But what I did was I created a Pinterest account, and all I did was I auto-linked it to my shop, my Shopify account. So basically, when I post a new product to Shopify, or when I post a picture to Instagram, they automatically also post to Pinterest. Never do anything, never write a caption, never kind of comment on anything, never go on it. Go on it very infrequently. But actually, on average, say right now, Instagram drives about 12% of our daily website traffic, and Pinterest drives about 2.5%. Now, obviously, that is lower, but that is 2.5% because we do absolutely nothing. There is no effort required to do that 2.5%. So compared to Instagram, which at that point in my life was absorbing so much of my time, it was quite a revelation to realise there are these channels and there are these means of communicating with people out there that actually don't require as much time. And it made me reevaluate how I was choosing to spend my time, where I was choosing to put my effort in. I know that the content I like creating most of all are the things which would inspire me if I saw them on someone else's feed. I like sharing behind the scenes contents because I love seeing other people's studios. I like seeing what they're doing. But I also love other people's long form content. I love watching people's longer videos. I like seeing people's articles. I love those kind of slightly more introspective, here's the reality of what we're doing articles, which you don't get many of. And I also quite enjoy writing. So I decided that I would want to start creating more long form content and with as minimal effort as possible, then translate that onto Instagram. But I wanted to cut down my daily Instagram time from probably something obscene like 6 hours a day to less than an hour. I wanted, as a business, to have far less time spent on that platform because I didn't find it a positive place. So what that actually required us to do was, right at the beginning, we built an entirely new website. And that was going to have to be in the works anyway, because we were currently operating on a website I had self-built and it was full of flaws and issues, and it had loads of things that were limitations on how we could sell products, things we could do. So a new website was always in the works. But when we did create the new website, we created it with a view to having it be a place that people could spend time. Not just a place you came to shop, but a place you could actually enjoy being in. That new website launched exactly this time last year, so nearly almost entirely to the day, we launched a new website. And since then, I have had a very balanced approach to our marketing. What we've ended up doing is deciding how to use channels in a way that works for us rather than feeling like we got to work for the channel. So rather than getting completely disheartened with Instagram, actually I decided just to start using it in all the ways I enjoy. So I love sharing what we're really doing, and I love hearing what people think. I love seeing what you're making, and I love the fact that I have this access to almost a ready group of kind of market research, people who are happy to comment and happy to help me make decisions. So what we've started doing on Instagram is we use that as our first kind of touch point with the customers, with our audience, in order to be able to actually get first hand understanding of what you're thinking, what you're doing. And so if you're super interested in what we do, Instagram is the place where I will just share random thoughts throughout the day. In turn, I don't want on Instagram, therefore, people who aren't really keen to follow us. Because actually, I really want to hear what you think through Instagram. I want it to be a two-way place. And I, therefore, am not fussed at all anymore about how we build followers. I only want people to be there because they want to be there. And therefore, I'm not really on board with any kind of activities that build a following in a way that means that you don't necessarily like what we do. I've slowed down sharing photos of interiors because I used to share those photos only because they got the best engagement. But actually, I'm not an interior designer, so I don't really find it particularly relevant. And therefore, that's now how we use Instagram. In turn, we have basically got 3 new channels. We've got YouTube here, and one of the benefits of YouTube, and YouTube now, we started it in June, now it drives about 2.5% also of our website traffic. So about 20% of our website traffic comes from social media. The 60% of that is still Instagram, but the remainder is being made up by Pinterest and YouTube in equal parts. YouTube, I think, is though a double whammy, because as much as you guys might just be coming onto YouTube to watch the videos, you might be coming from Instagram to watch the videos, you might be coming from my email to watch the video. It's a way of engaging, and therefore it has a knock-on effect on direct traffic. But the big important thing is YouTube is owned by Google. And so as you perform well on YouTube, and as you have a presence on that, it actually has a knock-on impact on things like your search engine rankings. And in the last year alone, and actually in the last 6 months, our organic search traffic has tripled. So that's one of the reasons why I'm happy to spend a lot more time on YouTube than necessarily that percentage would suggest, because I know it has knock-on effects in other ways for us as a business. But the other two channels that we've really kind of shifted to focus a lot more heavily on are creating long-form content for our own website. And if you've been to the website at all, if you've been and seen the journals on the website, you'll see that we have loads of articles there. And these articles I write myself, and they're all kind of a range of things from more kind of, more kind of studies of particular folk arts, particular artists, something slightly more informative, that's probably the word, versus things that are a lot more introspective, like what to do when you're really scared of stuff, how to build creative confidence, things like that, or just some totally random, like here's a video of making paste paper, some totally random stuff. The journal is somewhere where people can go and spend a lot of time, and there's loads of articles there, and I love creating them. I really like writing those articles. It's a fun thing for me to do. So that's our kind of second new channel. We've YouTube that. And then the other one which we've introduced is our membership program. And the membership program is a way of me being able to share super freely, to be able to share with people who really are super invested in everything that's going on in the business, and to feel that two-way relationship. And that is going to get even better next January, which I talked about on last week's video. So if you're interested, just go watch last week's video, but that's about to get even better. So since the start of this year, we have been way more diversified in the overall approach, and we are using channels for our own means. And in order to know if this is all working, what I have really been careful to do is focus purely on sanity metrics and take emotion out of the equation. Now, just to qualify what I mean by that, by vanity metrics, I mean things that potentially make you feel good, give you that kind of dopamine hit, but actually have very little impact on the business. So I mean things like number of followers, number of likes, views on things, those sort of metrics that don't necessarily translate to anything, particularly if they are in relation to something that isn't a product you offer. Whereas for sanity metrics, I mean things more like website traffic, conversion rates, return customer rates, actual sales, things that really show the actual performance of the business and are entirely driven and are all about long-term value creation rather than short-term. Now, I tell you all this and I sort of share this story not because I'm trying to say, oh gosh, look, aren't we doing well, but because I spent 12 months not doing anything. And whilst it's fair enough to say our daily website visitors, our daily website visitors have doubled compared to this time last year, despite continued declining kind of performance of Instagram. The reason I say all this is because I wish I'd spent less time wallowing. I wish I had instead immediately decided, right, I can't control this, what am I going to do next? And of course, I feel a disappointment. I think we have amazing imagery, an amazing sort of, an amazing look. And I think loads of people, if Instagram would share our posts, would really like it, but I have not had a single Instagram post hit over 20,000 people in about 2 years. And so give up trying. I'm not going to go viral, and that's okay. So as much as I'm sure we would potentially have a marginally better growth, if that were the case, it's sort of wishing away time, and you're wishing away effort, and you're wishing away your own happiness by trying to influence something you can't control. So the reason I share this is that primarily that I don't want to anymore, in any aspect of business, dwell on the things that I have no power over. In turn, there's been surprising consequences of the actions we've done, and a little bit unintended. So, for example, since we started the journal, and since we've started writing longer form content, our search traffic performance has improved so much, because now we have people coming to the website for all sorts of random reasons. And what's interesting is those people are staying. Our average time that someone spends on our website is 7 minutes. Like, that's amazing. That's an amazing amount of time that people are choosing to spend on the website. That is traffic that would never have come our way if we had trapped everything within an app. And what it makes me really appreciate is the value in building assets you can control. Having reliance on any of these platforms, be it Instagram, Pinterest, YouTube, anything, they can change at the drop of a hat and you can't do anything about it. Whereas in my own website, the articles I write, the things I'm creating, these are mine. My mailing list is my mailing list. And I will have that even if someone else changes their platform. So focus on building value, not building volume. But the absolute most important thing, and the reason I feel really positive and had wanted to share all this, is because I am so much happier for it. I feel this immense weight lifted. Now I just don't really care about these vanity metrics. It's great in a way if something goes well, but equally I feel a level of indifference because I realise that it doesn't necessarily translate to anything. I instead feel so much happier just focusing on the bits I do like all the individuals who I meet, all the individuals who comment on things, all of those who actually engage with things we say, right, that I can message back, that I can see what they're making. I love these apps for the ability they give me, which I would not have otherwise. And actually, I'd sort of said to the team the other day, I love Instagram. And I couldn't believe a few years ago I would never have said those words, but by letting go, by stopping caring, I've been able to fall back in love with the whole process of creating content, because I do it for myself and my own happiness, and I won't make things if I don't think they'll make me happy. It's why I won't ever do a fancy reel. To wrap up this whole topic, the key things I'd love you to take away, if you are your own creator, is I'd love you to go look at your own stats and see on a day when you have a post that does really well versus a post that doesn't do that well, on average, how much of a difference does it really make to what goes on your website and in your sales? And then bear that in mind every time you feel an emotional reaction to things. Try to kind of always bear in mind this sanity metrics over vanity metrics idea. Then don't allow yourself to become too dependent. Start creating content in other forms, start creating content on other channels, and then I would love to see it, because I wish more people created longer form content. I wish I could read more from other brands, because it's not actually something that's still that common for people to do, probably because it takes lots of effort. And I think if you are intending to build a business that is going to stay the course and last time, then don't focus on short-term, quick goals, quick wins, quick growth, and instead just focus on making sure those people who care about you, you show them that you care about them too. And that's something that I hope that we do as a business, and I hope I do. I hope I show all the people who engage with me and who care about what I'm doing that I also am grateful and care about that. I think this fixation on followers can make you really neglect the people who are already there. I don't really think you need to worry too much about the people who aren't there yet, as long as you've got really good people who are there. And that's one of the things I'm really caring passionately about at the moment. The intention in the last video had been to talk about why we are going to, for the first time ever, next year embark on some paid advertising. And I have always been incredibly skeptical about paid advertising because I've never really, I feel like this is, maybe I'm being too moral about it, but I've always hated the idea of someone feeling coerced into buying from me. You know, the point should be, if you want it, you want it. If you don't want it, don't worry about it. Paid advertising's always felt a little bit kind of forced to me, but I have spoken to lots of people about it, and I think I'm being to some degree short-sighted, and maybe it can be something that's really complementary to all the other content and all the other things we're doing to try and market the business. And marketing the business, growing the business is important to me, because the more the business grows, the more people we can reach with what I believe is a really important purpose. And our purpose is to empower everyone to discover their own creativity in whatever form that might be. And I believe the stronger the business, the more able we are to do that. The stronger the business, the more able we are to explore new ideas, new opportunities. The stronger the business, the more stability we have as a company, as a team. I want a strong business for all these reasons. And so anything that can complement and help us achieve that is great, as long as it does complement and it doesn't dominate. So I will be sure to kind of update you all in about 6 months' time and let you know if that's something that's gone well, if that's something that we're not going to do anymore. But keep an eye out, because maybe from January you might see the odd advert kind of flying around. And do tell me if you see one, because I shall be very curious to know where you see it, who sees it, how it all goes down. So that is the update. There's my finally got round to telling you about marketing. This is a bit of a businessy video, but I've done a bit of sewing in the meantime. Sewing is slow, so I've managed to I'm just finishing stitching this star. I'm going to fill this one in entirely, and I've stitched a bit of the bottom border, but this one will be finished very quickly. So that was useful for me too. Let me know what you think. What are your thoughts on marketing? What are your thoughts on the approach, on the things I'm saying? Do you think I'm speaking a little rubbish? I really always like to hear what you think, and particularly on a topic like this, because this is one that so many creatives and small businesses just obsess over. So tell me your thoughts.